Think the Wild West was all tumbleweeds and saloon shootouts? Hollywood lied to you. The true American frontier had stricter gun control than modern New York, Egyptian camel cavalry, and cross-dressing cowboys. Today, we're opening the sealed archives to expose the bizarre, terrifying, and hidden history of the West. Let's dive in. The Great Western Lie: Tumbleweeds and Camels. Picture the classic Western showdown: a deserted street, tense music, and a tumbleweed rolling by. Except tumbleweeds didn't even exist in the Old West. The Russian thistle is a highly invasive weed accidentally brought over by immigrants from the Russian Empire in the 1870s. And those majestic Mustangs the U.S. cavalry rode? In 1856, the U.S. government actually imported dozens of Egyptian and Turkish camels to patrol Texas and California, creating the official U.S. Camel Corps. They only disbanded the unit because the Civil War started, and the camels absolutely terrified the cavalry horses. The Illusion of Anarchy, Tombstone Ordinance Number 9. Movies want you to believe cowboys were blasting their six-shooters at the ceiling of every saloon. In reality, notoriously violent cities like Dodge City and Tombstone had gun control laws far stricter than today. Massive signs at the city limits warned every rider about laws like Tombstone's Ordinance Number 9. You must surrender your firearms to the sheriff immediately. You checked your revolvers in like a winter coat and got a metal token in return. The legendary shootout at the OK Corral. It didn't happen over stolen gold. It happened simply because a gang of cowboys aggressively refused to hand over their guns to the police. The Flour Sack Waltz, Stag dances. In the remote, freezing mining camps of the gold rush, the ratio of men to women was sometimes a staggering 100 to 1. But the miners still needed to blow off steam and throw massive saloon balls. The solution? Stag dances. Men would waltz with other men. To figure out who was leading and who was playing the lady, one cowboy would simply tie a canvas patch to his arm or wear an empty flour sack on his backside. The craziest part? These bearded ladies were treated with deadly serious Victorian chivalry. Men bowed to them, bought them drinks, and you could literally get shot in a duel for stepping on a flour sack lady's boots. Some of these men completely surrendered to the bit, tying delicate women's lace bonnets over their greasy hair and bushy beards, while the dance callers officially directed the room by shouting, "Bulls on the left, heifers on the right." How do you think modern guys would react to a waltz like this today? Let me know in the comments. The deadly Heartbreaker, Harry Allen. In the early 1900s, a petty thief and cowboy named Harry Allen became a massive media sensation in the Pacific Northwest. Harry wore sharp men's suits, drank whiskey, brawled, and was constantly thrown in jail. But he wasn't famous for his crimes. He was famous for being an absolute heartthrob. Harry was a trans man, and women went absolutely crazy for him. Police archives document multiple horrifying instances where desperate women attempted to take their own lives after Harry broke off their engagements. The cops frequently arrested him just for wearing men's clothes, but public pressure from his fanatic female admirers usually forced them to let him walk free. The Ultimate Walk of Shame, a 60-year funhouse prop. Elmer McCurdy was a completely incompetent train robber shot dead by a sheriff's posse in 1911. Since no one claimed his body, an enterprising undertaker embalmed him with arsenic and charged people 5 cents to view the bandit, dropping coins right into the corpse's mouth. Eventually, the body was sold to a traveling carnival. For the next 60 years, Elmer's actual mummified corpse traveled America as a neon-painted prop in amusement park haunted houses. It wasn't until 1976 when a Hollywood TV crew was filming an episode of The $6 Million Man inside a funhouse and accidentally ripped off the mannequin's arm that they saw real human bone jutting out. The one-eyed legend, Charlie Parkhurst. Charlie Parkhurst was one of the most badass, tobacco-chewing, fearless stagecoach drivers in all of California. He wore an eye patch, shot bandits dead during a highway robbery, and officially cast his ballot in the 1868 presidential election. But when Charlie died in 1879, the doctor preparing the body made a shocking discovery. This brutal, hardened pioneer was biologically a woman. Yet Charlie lived her entire adult life as a man, survived the deadliest trails, and secretly became the first woman to vote in the U.S. a full 50 years before women legally had the right. The Corset Gold Rush, the Dash Bar. By 1863, San Francisco's Barbary Coast was a lawless playground, and gender boundaries were completely obliterated. The most legendary hotspot was a bar called the Dash. Here, rugged, dirt-covered gold miners were served drinks by male waiters dressed in spectacular, expensive women's ball gowns. The bar was so wildly popular, and the streets were so filled with women in men's work pants and men in dresses, that the police literally couldn't figure out who they were arresting anymore. In sheer panic, the city passed the first law in U.S. history criminalizing cross-dressing, not for religious reasons, but just so frustrated sheriffs could write accurate suspect descriptions. The Madam Who Stopped the Economy. While proper Victorian wives couldn't legally open a bank account, brothel madames were the venture capitalists of the Wild West. Madame Julia Bulette of Virginia City was so wealthy and respected that she personally funded and equipped the city's entire fire department. When she was tragically murdered in 1867, the unthinkable happened. The massive silver mines completely shut down. The entire town, including the mayor, the fire chief, and thousands of hardened miners, marched in a miles-long funeral procession behind a brass band to honor a sex worker. Meanwhile, the politicians' wives sat furiously in their homes, watching a prostitute get buried like a reigning monarch. The ultimate noise complaint, shot for snoring. Forget romantic duels at high noon. The frontier was brutally, casually violent. John Wesley Hardin was one of the deadliest serial killers of the West, with over 40 victims. One night in a Texas hotel, Hardin was woken up by a man snoring unbearably loud in the adjacent room. Hardin didn't bang on the wall or complain to the front desk. He simply grabbed his revolver, fired a bullet blindly through the plaster wall directly at the sound of the snoring, killed the sleeping stranger instantly, rolled over, and went back to sleep. Guys, be honest. Who among you has been tempted to do this to a snoring roommate? The Time Paradox, Jack the Ripper, Cowboys, and Nintendo. We think of the Wild West as ancient history, but prepare to have your timeline completely shattered. The Old West happened at the exact same time as the early technological boom. In 1889, while outlaws were still robbing stagecoaches and participating in the massive Oklahoma land rush, Jack the Ripper had just terrorized London. The London Underground subway was fully operational, the Eiffel Tower was completed in Paris, and in Japan, a little company was officially founded to manufacture playing cards called Nintendo. A surviving frontier outlaw could have theoretically crossed the ocean and played a game of Nintendo cards on the London subway. Imagine seeing a timeline like that in your history books. Which of these insane Wild West facts blew your mind the most? Let me know your pick in the comments.